Morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global Nimble community. My name is John Ferrara, and I say this often that today is a special day, but it truly is. Uh, Tim Hughes is somebody that I saw in the social river as I pioneered social CRM many, many moons ago. And I'm just honored that he's here today to share his expertise on three things you need to know for digital sales success in 2023. So let's talk about you a bit, Tim. First off, just say hello to the audience.
Hello, everybody. You'll notice that I have a different accent to John.
I told you about my wife's Welsh ancestors from Pembrokeshire, but if not, remind me to share that with you. Tim, the thing that I love about you is you were a Oracle enterprise sales rep who, in the early days of social media, adopted it and used it to build um, your abilities to sell at scale in a way that was very unique. And that's what I saw as I saw you engage with the audience. And then what you did is, rather than just using it to help yourself, you decided to write the book on social selling. I believe Wiley's your publisher, right?
Coke and Page, actually.
Hook and Page.
Yeah.
And now you've come out with the second edition of that. And so if you don't do anything from this webinar, go buy his book, because there's a lot of people that talk about using social to sell, but very few of them have synthesized it into something that is so digestible and applicable for yourself or your team. I'm not going to read all of the amazing details about how you went and built your own agency and how you are now consulting and teaching sales teams around the globe. People will learn that as you share. But Tim, I'm just really honored that you're here and really impressed by your journey.
John, thank you, and thank you for that introduction. And you've covered it. You know, I'm a salesman.
Yes.
And that's what I've done. I've worked worked for a very large US software company, and it must have been back in the early, 2012, 2013 when I got onto social media. And then I wrote the first book on social selling came out in 2016, and I've completely updated it, and it's just come out at the end of November. So the things that I'm going to talk about today are covered in that book. And if you want to know more, then the best place to go is to invest in that book. And this completely rewrote it. It's really, and I'm really proud of it. Got loads of people, and I'm going to talk about some of the people that we've got in the case studies today from the book.
Awesome. And so for those that don't know about me, I've been building relationship management systems since before the term existed. I started by building a product called Goldmine because I struggled as an enterprise sales rep for a technology team. And back in the day, we managed contacts with day timers, forecasts with spreadsheets, communicated with email and text, and it just didn't work. And there wasn't Outlook, there wasn't Salesforce, there wasn't a term CRM or market automation or any of that. And I was too young and dumb to know any better, quit my job, started Goldmine. And after selling that at 40 and being a dad for 10 years, I started to use social media in 2006, 7, 8, saw it was going to change the way we work, play, buy, and sell. And I built Nimble to pioneer social CRM and social selling as a tool that automatically integrates to the contacts that you have and all the places they are, unifies them, enriches them, and then works back where you work, because we all need a nudge on our shoulder to help us to understand who we're engaging with, the history of interactions, and most importantly, to follow up and follow through, because I think that is the biggest crux and failure of business people, is not following up, not doing the basics. And before I hand the ball off to you to start presenting, Tim, I want to remind everybody to ask questions in the Q&A box. We will compile those questions and answer them throughout and at the end. And with that, Tim, take us away.
Thanks, John. I can give a great example of sales. My partner and I are currently looking for a holiday. She has a significant birthday this year. We've done all our research online, as you would do, as the modern buyer does. We've come down to a short list of 3. We went to one website and it says, we can get one of the salespeople to call you, even at a particular time. So we filled out all the details and the salesperson never called, but they did send us a brochure. Modern
That
sale.
is an example of not following up, and that's why
Exactly.
you.
So we're going to talk today about social selling and influence. I'm going to put you into a particular place where you're probably going to need to think. It may mean that it's going to oppose some of the things that you think at the moment about sales and marketing. What I want to do is that I want to put forward a view about the modern buyer and the way we see things working right now. Already been introduced. My book, their 2nd edition, Social Selling, is the one with the yellow cover. It's on Amazon worldwide. Please buy a copy. We talk to a lot of people who say this to us, which is that they've got no pipeline. They're probably going to have to lay people off. The revenues are down and they don't know what to do. They're doing all the things that they're being told that they need to be doing, or told by seems to be the narrative that comes out of sales and marketing at the moment, and it's not working. And what they don't recognize is actually there's a new way of doing things. We don't believe, but running your business like you did in 1980 or 1990 really is going to make an impact to the modern buyer. We know that the modern buyer has transferred to digital. The modern job hunter is on digital. The modern investor is on digital. So your employees, your future employees, your prospects, your customers, your investors are all on digital. The problem is that sales and marketing are all analog. So there's an old saying in sales that you should be fishing where the fish are. And right now, sales and marketing are not fishing where the fish are. But is this my opinion, or is this data? So I'm going to walk you through some data. But first and foremost, what is social selling? There's lots of terms out there at the moment: social selling, digital selling, virtual selling, remote selling, modern selling. We see it as being the same thing. This is about using your presence and behavior on social media to build influence, make connections, grow relationship and trust, which lead to conversation and commercial interaction. Commercial interaction being a sale. What we're doing when we're going onto social is being social. It is, after all, social media. It's in the name. So we go to the media and we be social. It's not spam media, it's social media. So what we're doing is that we're using that presence, and I'm going to talk about this in the presentation. And what we're going to do is we're going to grow relationships, and I'm going to talk about that as well. And then what we have is conversations, and we can have conversations at scale. You know, one of our clients has got a 10,000 to 1 ROI. That's the sort of thing that we're looking for right now. Not a little bit of a change, but something that actually moves the dial. Just to stop for a second and think about, so we're talking today just about sales, but actually social, if you use it strategically within an organization, it can transform your organization, strip out cost and make it more efficient. This is a mission statement from one of our clients, and they say a social organization, so that's an organization that uses social media strategically rather than non-for-profit, sees social as a platform for closing the distance between clients, prospects, remote employees, and potential recruits. This is far wider than just sales. One of our clients, for example, doesn't spend any money on recruitment consultants and job ads anymore because they don't need to. Because they're active on social media, people are actually going to them and saying, you look really like a really interesting company to work for. Can I come and work for you? And so what they're able to do is that they're actually become their employer of choice within their particular market because of the fact that people are seeing them active on social and saying, that's where I want to work. And at the same time, they've stripped out the cost. So this is how you're able to use digital as a way of stripping out the cost and making yourself more efficient. But there's other things as well that you can do. And what we're seeing with our clients is, first and foremost, is a visibility. How do we get an earned media position in the marketplace where people can see us? Where you're waving at your clients every day. Hi, here's an interesting piece of content. Here's another interesting piece of content. Now, you can't do that with cold calling and you know, if you rang your customers every single day or you emailed them every single day, they'd soon tell you to go away or block you. But you can do it on social media. Trusted advisor status. This is something that we've always wanted in sales. How can we get into deals earlier where people actually say, can you come and talk to us? I've just been contacted by a major US computer company. I'm speaking at their an event next week. They've come to me and they've asked me to come in and actually say, can you help us? Because what they want is someone that can actually provide them with the expertise. Presenting yourself as an expert online is what people are looking for. You can retain and recruit the best talent. I've already given an example where one of our clients is the employer of choice because they're active on social media. Also, how can we get the best engagement and shared sense of purpose? Ever since COVID struck, we've been struck with the changes that have taken place in the workplace, where we want more of a sense of a belonging, a purpose. And social media allows us to do that. And of course, what we all want is pipeline growth and new customers. That's not a surprise. Traditionally, though, what happens is that when social media came out, it was given to marketing and they didn't know what to do with it. So they put it in a box and they put it in a cupboard. And every week what they do is they take it out and they go, well, we need to do something with this. We'll put a post out and then we'll send an email out and we'll ask everybody to like it. It's probably generating you 0. And the reason for that is you're not connected to the right people. They're not the people that you're trying to influence aren't seeing it. And it's probably the same message that everybody else says, which is buy my product because it's great. And so what happens is, I'm going to talk about this in a moment, is that the modern buyer, all they get is this avalanche of buy my product because it's great. My background is selling accounting systems, and every single company goes to the market and says exactly the same thing. But is this my opinion, or is there any data to back this up? So there's a guy called Simon Kemp, that's K-E-M-P. If you want me to, I can put that in the chat. He creates this data. It's paid for by We Are Social, but Hootsuite, but Simon creates it. Great person to follow on LinkedIn. So there's now 8 billion people in the world. We clicked over the 8 billion in November. Of that 8 billion, 63.5% of them are on the internet, and 60% of the world's population are active on social media. What does active in social media mean? The average person spends 2 hours, 27 minutes on social media a day. The idea that our customers are not on social media just isn't effective anymore. And also we know, and I'm going to say in a moment, because buyer teams have got bigger, if the CFO isn't on social media, everybody else is. The other thing that's happened is, and I alluded to this at the beginning of the presentation, is that now as buyers, we're now used to using social media and digital. We come to Google and we make searches. We come to social media and we do discovery. I don't have time to go into the difference between search, but the search is different on Google and social media. And we tend to do the two at the same time, but it's different types of search. Gartners say that the average buyer is 57% of the way through the buying process before they contact a salesperson. But for me and my partner, we're pretty much 80% of the way through the buying process of this holiday. And what we're really looking to is the salesperson is going to provide an element of validation of the decision that we've already made. The other thing is that buying teams have got bigger. So one of the supply chain companies that we're working with, they say that for every purchase, 100 people, 100 stakeholders are involved. So that means that you've got to go around and talk to all of those people and have conversations. And of course, Starting conversations or relationships by calling people up or sending them emails and annoying people is not a great place to start. Whereas what we're able to do is we're able to scale out the ability to build relationships and have conversations. And let's not forget from this, from Gartner, that as the buyer teams get bigger, the likelihood of them making a decision gets smaller because the buyers get confused. And then of course, COVID happened, and COVID has made so many changes. We've had to get used to selling from working from home. We've had to get used to having Zoom or Teams meetings. The number of conferences that happened have got smaller and smaller. And so we're having to change the way that we sell and change the way that we market, and understanding about being digital. We call it being able to walk digital corridors and have digital conversations. This ability now is a business imperative for everybody. We need to understand the ins and outs of social media and digital. We need to do this whether we're in sales or whether we're in leadership. It's now become the way that we work. 20 years ago, when I first started in business, there wasn't anything called PowerPoint or Excel, but we had to learn it. And this is the changes that's taken place, and the changes that part of the changes that COVID has enforced upon us. So everything has changed. Now, many of you may know there's a TV program that's generated here in the UK called Top Gear. Actually, the people have changed, but it's syndicated out around the world. It's one of the world's biggest syndicated TV programs. The thing about this program is that you remember James May or the Stig or Jeremy Clarkson. What you don't remember is the fact that they were driving a Maserati in the Atacama Desert. And this is one of the changes that's taken place. So this is a person called Supercar Blondie. She's called Alex Hershey. She's an Australian and she lives in Dubai. She's the most influential person in the world around cars. So if you want to sell, or the chairman of BMW wants to sell a new BMW, he ships it out to Alex in Dubai and gets her to drive it. And these are one of the things that have that's taken place, or the changes that have taken place, away from a hierarchical world to a very, very flat world through social media. Now, some of you may be saying, yes, well, yeah, but we know that there's big brands like Nike, they've got lots of followers. Yeah, they have. But if they want to sell tennis equipment, they get Serena Williams to do it because she's got more followers. Or if they want to sell basketball equipment, they get LeBron James to do it because he's got more followers. Or if you want to sell football equipment, which is the right term for soccer, just joking, then you get Cristiano Ronaldo to do it. Now, he's got over 100 million followers. He has more followers than the top 10 brands in the world put together. And this is one of the changes that's taken place, which is that personality beats brand every day. What happens when I go onto social media is I'm looking for advice, I'm looking for expertise, I'm looking for help. I'm not looking for a ChatGPT written article. I'm looking for an individual that's going to help me. And what I do is that I look at people and I'm going to make a decision about whether I want to buy something. So for example, one of our clients is a 100-person Oracle reseller called Namos Consulting. We train their salespeople to be social. Out there on social land, there was a buyer. The buyer was looking for business problems to resolve. They saw a particular salesperson at Namos and said, I think that you can help me. And they walked towards that individual, and that turned into a $2.6 million deal. They've subsequently taken another $500,000 out of that company. Now, when I go onto social media, what I see is salespeople, and I go, I'm not interested in you. I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't want to talk to you, and I want to avoid you. This is the transformation that's taken place from classic way that people are using social media and the social media that we can help you with. So imagine You've got to get to the airport really, really quickly. You've got two modes of transport, the bike or the car. Which do you take? It's a trick question. We all know we're going to take the car. We've got to get to the airport and we've got to get there really, really quickly. The thing is that the car doesn't have an engine, it's a prototype. And the thing is that we all jump to conclusions. We take a little bit of information and we extrapolate that out. And what we do is that we jump to the conclusions. And what we do is we jump to the conclusions based on your passive social presence and your active social behaviors. I can look at your social presence on LinkedIn. I can look at your company's social presence on LinkedIn, and I can tell exactly what your company's like. I can tell what your culture's like. I can tell what your C-suite are like. I can tell what it's like to work there. And the thing is that so can your buyers. So can the modern job hunter, so your future employees. So can the modern investor. So if you're looking for pipeline, employees, or investing, you have to have a presence on social media. In fact, there was some research that came out this last week that said that for CEOs that are active on LinkedIn, they get 20% more investment in their businesses. And for CEOs that are active on Twitter, they get 5% more investment. So there's empirical evidence that you have to have a social media presence and have to have one, certainly if you're in leadership. So what am I talking about? Well, we get a lot of people coming to us from the image on the left, which is this tells you very little about you. Whereas on the right-hand side, this is Catherine. Catherine has a profile that talks about herself. It tells a story. It's not a CV. If you've got a CV, it means you're looking for a job. That's one of the conclusions that people will jump to. What it is keyword optimized profile. Every single person in your organization that you get to do this gives you another piece of keyword optimized text out there on the internet. So that when people are searching on Google, and Google loves LinkedIn because it's full of content, when people are searching on Google, the likelihood of finding you is more likely. Now, when they find you, what you want them to do is go, Catherine Cole, that looks interesting. I'm going to spend my time reading this. And don't forget, if you have professional edition and above of LinkedIn, LinkedIn tells you who's actually been on your profile. So what you want them to do is, if someone's searching on Google, they find you, you want the person to have the curiosity to come and look at your profile and then to stay on your profile. The most visible thing about you on the internet is your LinkedIn title. If you Google yourself, don't do it now while I'm talking, but do it afterwards. Unless you have your own blog, it will be the first thing that Google will present up there is your LinkedIn profile. Have your name, your photo, and this title. Your job is to get that buyer to go, that's really interesting, I'm going to look further, because if they come to your profile, LinkedIn will tell you that. Except there's 7.1 million CEOs out there that have the job title of CEO. 6.6 sales managers that have this title of sales manager. These people don't seem to understand that this is about people coming to you and seeing you and being different. There's also 113,000 thought leaders who obviously think that by having thought leader, that is different. There is a psychological condition called Gestalt thinking. What we do is that we form patterns in our brain. So what happens is that we take the blue circles and we form a square with it. As soon as we look different, we change our win rate from 1 in 16 to 1 in 2. Sometimes called in marketing the Hedwig von Restoff or isolation effect, which is that the eye is drawn to the pink trainers or sneakers. And what happens is that we see that because we're looking at something as different. Your buyers currently see this. They see a sea of people that are the same. They look the same, they say the same. We all say, buy my product because it's great. And what we do is that we seem to be, and there's even seems to be this fashion on LinkedIn to actually try and look as close to all of our competitors as I can. And it's completely confusing. And what we need to do is be different. So who looks different? This is Cyberhawk. This is the C-suite from Cyberhawk. They're a drones company, so they use drones to look at oil rigs and platforms, pylons, things like that. So here you've got the CEO, the CRO, the CMO, the COO, the CIO, and the CFO. They all look like people that you could walk towards and have a conversation with. Think back to the analog days where we're at an exhibition and we're looking for people to products that we may want to buy. We walk to the stand and someone says, "Hi, how you doing? Can I help you?" "Yeah, we're thinking about things like this," and they start having a conversation with you. They maybe get you a tea or a coffee and they sit you down. You feel wanted, you feel involved, you feel that the company is interested in your business. We have a situation right now where what's taking place on LinkedIn, in effect, is as we walk towards that stand, salespeople are coming up to us and smacking us in the face with brochures. We're not interested in that. All we do is we're just going to take the brochures, collect the stack of them and put them in the bin. What we're looking for are people that are approachable, people that we can actually do business with. This is the change and this is the transformation that social can get. We see this, having your C-suite like this is the starting line. This is what modern businesses look like, and this is how you need to be on digital. Because currently you all look and sound exactly the same. So I've got a couple of things to whiz through now. First of all, the importance of network. Now, having connections on social media is important, but what you need is a network. If we take, this is Eric who works for me. If we take his LinkedIn profile on the left, NCR, he's not connected to anybody. He doesn't expect to sell to anybody in NCR. On the right, Wood Group, for example, he's connected to 552. I actually know he's now connected to over 1,000 people in Wood Group. He's connected to the whole of the C-suite in the UK and the whole of the C-suite in the US. Oil and gas is one of the markets that he's particularly focused on. Now, the likelihood of him doing business in Wood is extremely high because we're connected to the people that we need to try and influence, not just the people that we're trying to sell to, but the people that we're trying to influence. BMW, for example, is one of our clients. They have 120,000 people in that company. How many people do we need to connect to? Well, probably more than 10. Could be 100, could be 1,000, but not one, and certainly not zero. If we're looking to go out and connect to people, we need to be using our network. This is not a connection request where we go, "Hi, it's Tim Hughes, will you buy my products?" Or, "Hi, it's Tim Hughes, and here's a list of my products." What we're doing is that we're using social media to have conversations. What we do is we present ourselves out there to have conversations so that people say, "You look like an interesting person that I want to have a conversation with." Because if you start going out and spamming people, you won't get very far. The other thing you need to do is to spread your influence. So there's two pictures here. One is Sydney on the left. She has very few followers, whereas Leanne on the right has over 9,000. It's a very, very similar picture. But Sydney has very few likes and comments, and Liam has lots of likes and comments. And I'm going to talk about the importance of likes and comments and why that is so critical for conversations in a bit. The other thing about social media is it's not just about your network that you're influencing. All of these pieces of content is all of these pieces of content is content that is come from my network's network. And what you're able to do is when you share content is that it's going out. And the bigger that you have your network, the more content and the more influence that you have. And if there's any mathematicians out there, it's exponential in the way that it provides. So what happens is that we have a classic, what happens is that traditional marketing, what happens is that you create something which is very, very bland because you're trying to appeal to as many people as you can. Whereas what we do with social media is that we create people as micro-influencers, whether it's the salespeople or whether it's the people within the business. It could be because you're trying to get people in the organization, so it may be the HR department. And what we do is that we propagate our influence and our content through our network and our network's network. So there's this network effect. And what you find is if you're sharing interesting content, that your network will want to share it, which means that you're spreading your influence even further. So the importance of content. Now, we did some research where we looked at content out on social media, and what you'll find is that stuff below the red line won't get very many likes and comments, and I'll explain why that's important in a moment. Content above the red line will get likes and comments. Now, you can do this yourself. You can go out. I mean, if you look at adverts, you'll see that you'll get very few likes. Therefore, you can understand that very few people like that. You know, I did my podcast yesterday with Mark Schaefer, and his view is that no one looks at adverts anymore. And it's what we're seeing is that people are looking for people, and people are looking for conversations because it's social media. So this is an example. This is Eric. He used to be the managing director of Pipe Tech. This is something he put out. He used to do his corporate thing and used to share stuff because he was asked to do that. This piece of content's only got 2 likes. It's the sales manager and the marketing person who created it. And I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in, I don't have any pipes, so I'm not interested in scale removal of it. It's not interesting to me. And that's the thing, is that unless people actually know about your company and your products, nobody cares. Next thing is about asking questions, being an author. And this is an example where Eric has done this, and he's gone out and he's got more likes and comments. But let's move to this one. This is Eric, where during lockdown, it was his son Austin's birthday. Austin basically wanted to be out with his mates, but he had to go to the beach with his boring dad. And this post got 165 likes, 37 comments, and 18,000 views. And you will have seen something like this, and you may have commented or whatever. The difference is that behind this, that we have a methodology. And what that methodology actually created was 124 leads, 6 C-level meetings, 2 proposals, 1 purchase order. And it took 10 minutes to do. Now, there's not one single demand gen facility that you've got out there that can allow you to get that level of business by doing 10 minutes of work. And this is the response that people that are investing in methodologies on social media, certainly our methodology, this is the response that they're getting, and the level of business that we're getting. One of our clients is a 300 million turnover organization. And
can I interject here, Tim?
Sorry?
Tim, can I interject here?
Yeah.
Because this really gets to my heart. I really believe that people connect to people. They don't buy from businesses, they buy from people in many instances.
Yep.
And I think that people connect on the commonalities of life. Family, I call it the 5 F's of life: family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. And in the old days, when you went in somebody's office, you looked at their walls, you look at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect, all to identify something that you might have in common, to share that with that person, to build the intimacy and trust, to get them to open up to you about their business issues, so that as a professional, you can then solve them. And then in the inevitable bumps of business life, shipping, price, whatever, the connection will smooth you through those moments and keep you top of mind. So when they do need your products and services, they'll pick up the phone and call you and drag their friends with them. And so I really believe that this humanizing section is so critical.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, you know, when you talk to people about content and the content that you create, you know, this is the one that Eric's created the most from. The second one was about Led Zeppelin. And you know, it's not about the company and the products, because nobody's interested. But but for the Led Zeppelin fans, the post that he put out about Led Zeppelin, they were interested.
Yes. And that's why I think that you, as a business professional, as a human being, should share some of your moments in life, some of your passions, so that people can see the real you and connect, which is why you and I walked to a record store in London after dinner one
We
night.
did. We did. And this is just an example. This is Sophie, and she has 1,600 followers. And when she shared stuff about the company, she gets, it's only 48 views. This one's 399 views, is a bit better. This is 10 views. But when she shares one about her house, she gets 29,000 views. She's got a network of 1,600 people. This is punching outside of a network. This is influencing people outside. And now, what I'm not saying is you go to LinkedIn and share every day the fact that you're on the beach. If you do that, the only assumption that I will come to is that you're probably either spending the time there or you're a lifeguard. What you need to do, or what people need to do when they come to your profile, is understand what you stand for. But what you can see here is the ability to have conversations with these people at scale, and this is how people are generating business. So this is real prospecting on a social platform, and this is when Sophie, you can see from Sophie's views on LinkedIn when she started working with us. This is Anaplan. This is what a real business looks like. This is not a business that is putting out brochures. This is a company where the kids are going to the prom. They've got animals. They're growing vegetables. They've just got their first flat. They are trying to learn how to do coffee. This is what a business looks like. This is Cyberhawk, a little bit more technical because they're dealing with technical things. And one of the posts by Phil Buckens had over 2 million views. This is what a business looks like. Just very, very quickly, this is what we do. We help companies with their social selling. We build social strategy for the board to be a social business, and we have a social selling program, and we're the only company in the world that has our social selling program backed by a sales organization. So the Institute of Sales Professionals in the UK backs our social selling program. So for me, that's questions.
Okay, so first off, Tim, thank you for sharing your expertise on really, I think that the word social selling really needs to just go away. And it's, you could say social business, and I have said that before. But one of the things I want to point out to people is that, do you remember when the internet first happened, where we first kind of got excited about the internet being on all the time, and everything was this and that, toys, eye contact, and it was all basically sort of applying the idea of the internet to whatever your business is doing. And then the internet became ubiquitous, where we stopped thinking about it. We didn't really worry about whether the internet would be on or off. Kind of like when you go to your faucet and you turn your faucet on, you don't think about the plumbing and the heaters and the recirculation pipes and all the stuff behind the scenes. I think 10 years ago or so, when social first came out, everything was social selling, social marketing, social business. And I think that social is just the way we've always been for thousands of years. It's just the way of life. And, we took people to the pub, to a game, home to dinner, and we shared our passions and love. You don't start a phone call by saying, "Did you sign my contract?" You start it by saying, "Hey, Tim, how's the weather in London today? How about those whatever the soccer team is, or whatever it is that you have in common?" And so I really believe that sometimes the word social selling is a detractor from really basic business practices of building a human connection to stay top of mind, learning about somebody, and finding a way to blow the wind in their sails. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And it's changed so much. When I first put out the first social selling book back in 2016, it probably was just about sales. But having run a business now for this is our 7th year, the changes that we've been able to affect within organizations, and of course the ideas come from the customers, not necessarily from you. We've been working with Cyberhawk around digital dominance, which is they've completely pushed out all of the oxygen from all of their competitors. Their competitors don't know what to do. you can see them scrabbling around. It's sad to see that they're spamming people and obviously thinking that's what social selling is about. And Cyberhawk have been told by their VC they're going to IPO faster at a higher rate because of what they're doing with social.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now's the time to ask your questions. Get your questions in so that we can answer them. And Tim, let's start with this one from Trisha. For a LinkedIn company page, what cadence would you advise for posts that are more human, i.e. once a week?
Yeah, I think for a LinkedIn page, a company page, yeah, once a week, yeah. And the thing about LinkedIn company pages, they tend to be a replication of the website. The website has a function which is, it's kind of where the brochures are. LinkedIn company pages should be far, this is the organization, this is the culture, this is how you can really show off the business and the people and what you're doing, and the fact that you've got a STEM program, and the fact that you've got, I don't know, you've got health and safety day or something. Really, this is about you really representing the people and the and going out to the people in your organization and saying, do you want to be part of it?
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen real quick and share with you all a little bit more about LinkedIn pages, because as you know, and can somebody just push the screen to me for while I'm talking, Jenna? So we are very tight with Microsoft and LinkedIn. And as you all know, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. And I'm just going to ask if you can see. Do you see my LinkedIn page? No, you don't. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share that over there. Okay. So Microsoft owns LinkedIn, and lately they've been doing a lot more things with them. We actually are doing a beta thing with LinkedIn, and I don't know if it shows up here. I think we need to do some other difference. But LinkedIn now has this connector on and we are embedded in on our website that shows the people in your community. And I'm just going to grab a URL while I talk to find that. Jenna, in the background, can you Slack me a link to our A/B test for the LinkedIn embedding thing in our website? So if you go over to Nimble, you'll see that there's a company page. And everybody has a company page, but now there's a thing called a product page. And the product page is really about the product or products that you sell. And you should all be looking at, I don't know if you have the ability to create product pages yet, but if you don't, keep an eye out for it. And if you do, definitely invest in it, because this is a great place to build a community around your products. And if you look at this, you can see that the companies that use Nimble, and then there's other things that are in here in regards to us being able to communicate to people about the products that we sell. And so there's a lot you could do that's more than just your company page. And then as far as humanity, I really believe that this is when you post about your company, you're not just selling to customers and prospects, you're really selling to build a constituency around your company that helps to build a community around your business, where people start to see you as a place that they not only want to do business with, but to work for or with, if you will. And so this is the thing that we're doing with LinkedIn. If you look at this, you can see that there's this embedded thing. This is not publicly available, but it will be in the future, where you can embed a connection that shows your LinkedIn community around your product page that you're building. And so definitely go check out the product page, and keep an eye out for new things from LinkedIn that can help link your company in much the same way that we link this G2 crowd thing, because it's more powerful when other people talk about your company than when you do. And with that said, let's go to the next question. Can you repeat your 4 F's? Actually, it's 5 F's. So if you just Google the 5 F's and Ferrara, you'll see probably blog posts about it that talk about it. And I think there are some good blog posts out there. I don't see it, but essentially it's family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. These are the connections that you make with people to build that intimacy and trust, where in the old days you do it by going in somebody's office. I'll share with you also my 5 E's of social business. And the idea behind that is just how to teach people how to more effectively build your brand and grow your network. And it's essentially educate, enchant, engage, embrace, and empower. And ultimately, it's about giving your knowledge away, doing it in a human way, doing it for a purpose of connecting. And the purpose is not to take, but to give. And I think that if you focus on building your brand by giving your knowledge away with the purpose of connecting, not to get as much as you can, but to give as much as you can to help as many people that you can grow, that is the secret to success in life. Tim, another question. Can you talk about the significance or insignificance of a call to action on social media posts?
Yes, John, I totally agree with you about the 5 E's. Yeah, I agree. We've experimented with call to actions on social media posts, and we're kind of ambivalent about it, because the thing is that you're on social media, so you're reading John's blog. So John is, it's John. And quite often I think that what happens is, and maybe it's more of a European view, is what happens is I get to the end of the blog and then you basically then start saying, buy my product because it's great. And we suddenly feel that there's a sales pitch and we don't like it. So my advice around that is to try it out. I don't use them, but you may find it works for you. So not being able to give a definitive answer, but
yeah, I think that if I were to think about calls to action in certain things where there's a purpose for it, like if you're inviting people to a webinar or to check out a new update of some things that you're doing, that's fine. But I have a formula where I do 75% giving away stuff and maybe a smaller percentage where I might, like, what I do is identify people that have high reach and relevance in and around the areas of promise of my products and services, and then I share their content and hashtag and attribute their name appropriately in order to pay that person forward to build a connection, to connect with their audience, but most importantly, to inspire and educate our community around the promise of our products and services. So I identify thought leaders in social sales and marketing like you, Tim, and I give away the knowledge because I'm not a huge writer myself. And I do that for the purpose of identifying people and connecting with them and building relationships to where I find people that I could add value to at scale. And in the end, that builds my brand and helps me achieve my own goals. We're running out of time, so I just want to say to those that haven't used Nimble or subscribed yet, if you do go try Nimble, take this code John40 and you get 40% off your first 3 months. Please connect to Tim. He is a mensch. He's a great guy to learn from and emulate, and just a cool dude. I'm sitting here in my office right here in front of my Tannoy speakers that are used in mixing studios, and I'm surrounded by my records. And every time I put on an album, Tim. I think of you, and
Oh,
I
thank you.
love that we can connect on our commonalities and loves of life, but at the same time, we share business passions as well. But yeah, I'd have to say that we probably talk more about our passions than we do about business, which I think is a really great human thing to be. What do you think?
Yeah, I still remember the first call I had with you, John, which is where you'd done research on me and you found out that I had an interest in vinyl records. And this is going back when we first met, I don't know, is it 9, 10 years ago or something?
Yeah,
And the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes was basically spent talking about that.
yeah,
So when we
yeah.
started talking about business, it was a natural part of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a natural way to dance with others in a digital fashion, and the way that I do it is I number one, I try to just give my knowledge away. Identify the places where my constituency has conversations to become better, smarter, faster. I build an identity where you can see a picture, where you can see my eyes and my face clearly, and I have some sort of a photograph of things that I might be passionate about. On my Twitter, today I have things about Ukraine. On my LinkedIn, I have a photograph I took in Kauai, which is one of my favorite pictures. I'm a photographer. And then what I do is I just give knowledge away. Here's a post from Neil Schaefer. I hashtag and attribute it accordingly. And I wait for people to interact with me. And then when they do, I use Nimble to essentially reel in that person. If that person wasn't in Nimble, it automatically build a record like that. Now you'd have to say that's pretty magical right there. That I just built a live profile on that person
It's
with one
amazing.
click. And then what I might do is I might put them into a workflow to basically begin to engage with them. And I think that having a purpose for a connection and managing that purpose through a flow is so critically important in life. And but ultimately, when you do end up connecting with that person, you should do your homework before you connect. Know who they are, know what the business is about, and know where they're at in life at the moment, so that when you do connect, you could ask them open-ended questions and then just shut the F up and let them talk. Because if you let somebody talk, they'll fall in love with you, because everybody wants to be seen and heard. And then if you listen for the cues of how and what you might add value to that person about, and you share after they get done talking what you really dug about what they said and how you might add value through an introduction or other mutual storytelling things you might do, then they'll naturally ask you about yourself and what you're doing. And that's your moment where you can go ahead and talk about that. And then what you do is you built that human connection on the 5 F's of life. And then you have a place to start about finding ways to blow into each other's sales. And that is the 60% of the fuel that a car needs to get to speed, or a rocket needs to get to orbit. And then on an ongoing basis, you just every once in a while give them a nudge and connect with them. And that's how you build connections and nurture them over time to achieve your dreams by helping others achieve theirs. What do you think, Tim?
I think it's a great philosophy. Yeah, it's about, people love talking about themselves, so why not get them talking about themselves? And that's a great place for it to start. But conversations create sales, and that's what it's all about: creating conversations, because it's the conversations that will create sales.
So, Tim, thank you
You're
for
welcome. Thank
joining us in a conversation and inspiring and educating us about some critical things for life success. And thank you to everybody that came out. Sorry that we might have had a couple of technical difficulties today with presenting the screen fully. I understand that it would have been better to have a full screen presentation. But all that being said, I think it was a bang up day. Love the questions, and please connect with us and let us know how we might be able to help you grow. Tim, why don't you take us away and say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody for joining today. Sorry about the PowerPoint position. I'm not sure what happened there, but I tried the best I could. And thank you for everybody who called in, and as you said, John, the questions been fantastic. And of course, thank you for the team at Nimble for setting this up and for sitting there and doing the questions and doing all the technical work behind the scenes.
Yes, I dare I forget to thank Karina and Jenna and the rest of the Nimble team that continues to toil away and build such incredible products in the amazing country of Ukraine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you haven't been to Ukraine in the future, gosh, it's such a beautiful country full of beautiful people. Thank you, everyone. Make it an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.